to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Today's video is on a bit of a somber note because we are looking at what happened to November 249 Whiskey Foxtrot. This was a 1976 Piper Archer II that crashed near Bowie, Maryland on June 20th, 2026. This video is not about speculating about what happened. It's not about criticizing the pilots for what they did. It's about showing you how what happened looked, giving you information about how what happened played out. We have the airplane at 2,000 feet, and we're on the little VFR corridor from VPONs to VPOOP. Actually, they were going backwards. They were going from VPOOP to VPONs. Back on their way to Gaithersburg, Maryland. They were at 2,000 feet, and they had some sort of issue approximately 15 nautical miles from VPONs. I'm going to kill the engine, put the airplane to best glide speed, and show you how much time they had and approximately what they saw. Here we go. We're cruising along about 2,400 RPM. Approximately 2,000 feet. The pilot was a new private pilot. I expected him to be exactly at the altitude. There's our 15 miles from VPONs. We're going to cut the mixture, cut the throttle. Naturally, in any scenario like this, there's a startle factor of what's going on, assessing the situation. The airspeed's starting to bleed off. The first thing you want to do is preserve your altitude until you get to best glide speed. There's 76 knots, so now we can let the nose come down. At this point, we're looking for a best place to land. Now, in your flight training at night, you're taught, as tempting as it is, don't go towards the lit areas. Go towards the darker areas. Obviously, it's situation dependent. If you have a road that looks really good, you can try for it, but you just got to be careful for light posts and cars and power lines and things that are hard to see at night. At this point, you can start to troubleshoot. So I always had a flow left to right. You check the fuel selector down there, make sure it's on the fullest tank. Make sure your magnetos are on both. Make sure your primer is in and locked. Check your mixture. Check your fuel pump, turn that on. Check your carb heat, make sure that's on. If none of that works, then you have to declare. So you squawk 7700 and announce a Mayday on the guard frequency of 121.5. As you get closer to your landing site is when you prepare the airplane for exit, so that's when you eliminate the chance of a fire. So you start to cut your mixture, you cut your fuel pumps, you turn the fuel selector to off, you turn your magnetos to off, and then after you're done making your last radio transmission, you turn off the master switch and you crack open the door so it's easy to get out. I'm choosing this road. This looks the best to me. Now I'm a little high and a little fast, so I'm going to start putting in some flaps. And again, there's a lot of different options of what you could go for in this scenario. Based on what I saw in this particular instance, I think this road looks pretty good to me. I'm going to go full flaps, maintain my 76 knots. That's going to increase my rate of descent. I could even forward slip it in just a little bit. You know, in real life, there'd be cars here you'd have to navigate, so you have to be really careful about that. But this just looks like a pretty wide, pretty well lit, pretty flat stretch of pavement. They were obviously going for what they thought was the best thing, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. So that's how it looks in the sim. Let's look at it on paper. Here is the best glide chart from the POH of the Piper Archer II. In this accident, the airplane was at 2,000 feet, which was approximately 1,900 feet AGL. So I've drawn a line at 1,900 feet AGL. You take it across until it hits this best glide line, and then you take it straight down. That brings me to about 1, 2, 3 nautical miles of range. That's not a lot of distance to only be able to go 3 miles. These people did not have a lot of time. They did not have a lot of distance to deal with. Looking at Flight Radar 24, this is approximately where they started to lose altitude, 15 nautical miles from VPONCs. That's what we just replicated in the simulator. If you take where the airplane is in this map and you draw a 3 nautical mile ring around it, that's what it looks like on Google Earth. So anything inside of this red circle is what they had available to land on. The airplane crashed in a park right here, if you can see the cursor, just above the second E in Somerset, just outside of the red circle. I attribute part of that to the airplane still bleeding off some of its airspeed from cruise before it gets to best glide speed. That's probably why it got that little extra bit outside the ring. But what this also tells me is the fact that they made it all the way to the outside of the ring. The pilot did an excellent job of maximizing the glide distance he had available to him. In the simulator, I decided to land on Route 3, going this way. That was inside the ring. Just looking at straight plots of road, the best options look to be either that or Route 50 going this way. There's lots of fields, but again, at night you can't tell what's a field and what's a plot of trees. You cannot tell. It's just a void of black. It's a very tough situation. And that's the information I have, and we'll see what the NTSB and the FAA says as to what caused the accident. But this is what those 3 pilots who are no longer with us had to deal with.